Can I can I talk about the open source thing or no? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you have specific topics. Go for it.
Oh, Alex is here. I just wanted to say how thrilled we are to hear that Rarible is going, the protocols are going open source. That's amazing news, and I'm super excited to see that leadership being driven in that direction.
Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, we're super pumped to open source that as well. I think there are some foundational principles on which the blockchain project should be built, and all of them are openness, so open sourcing, just community driven, and it's practical as well. We want people to contribute to protocol, and we want to build several development teams inside the DAO that would be maintaining the protocol. Our long-term plan is like to pass on the basically everything concerning the protocol to DAO. So that's just all the steps in that direction. I think it couldn't been done otherwise. So that's more or less the question of timing, like when we do it, how we do it, how easy it is to contribute, how easy it is to maintain, how easy it is to run it yourself. It's not. Spoiler.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of microservices. Our hacker team assembled, but I don't know. I hope we can achieve like Ethereum node experience someday. Like you just run it, it synchronizes for several days, and that's it. Not that I really wanted to synchronize for days, but it kind of is. So it takes a long time to build the index. So yeah, it's nice. Do you think, I know you want to run it, you want to contribute in anything, like what would be the next step for the community?
Probably wait and see.
Yeah.
Tinker.
Documentation. Documentation is needed.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, what it means to me practically is if there's like some small feature that's missing in like one of the APIs, or like, you know, if only it would allow me to like jump into the source code and like maybe add some small feature or like do some small bug fix if something were ever to arise, right? And like even if that doesn't happen, like just knowing that I have the opportunity to be able to have access to the source code and contribute makes me feel much more, I guess, comforted by the fact that like it is open source and I can contribute to it, and there is, you know, shared ownership of the project evolution.
Yeah, and I'm actually already doing it, and it's so awesome that so I was looking into the code like yesterday and today, and I learned so much about the protocol that I never knew about, and it's like some of the that I was just like taking for granted. There's a lot of things, moving parts behind the scenes, and I even had like some misunderstanding about the protocol. So like it's so great that it's open source. So because I can just like look into the code, and if something doesn't work, I know why it doesn't work, so I can change my code.
That's the other benefit of open sourcing software is you get people with that can look at the code and see it in a new perspective that your entire team may have never seen, you know, your own platform, your own mechanism work, and get more feedback.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, I think we're super excited as well. We're gearing up to this August 12th launch. So yeah, would love your thoughts on like, even if you have a few minutes to look at our onboarding process on the DAO. I know it's really bad right now, but we need to like improve that. You know, I'm expecting at least a little bit of people coming in, hopefully a flood, you know, to tinker and learn. And so, you know, the more we can do ahead of that, the better. Alex, do we want to jump into some quick updates on the protocol product side of things?
Yeah, we also probably don't want to spoil the news.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, don't make it like, don't spread the message too far.
Yeah.
And also, thankfully, not many people are watching this video too much.
Yeah. Hopefully we can, yeah, it's just, I don't want somebody, yeah, whatever. Okay, let's move to the news. So yeah, a lot of work actually done on protocol, and we have the new API reference released, and there is the new controller there. It's called NFT order item controller. And we just switched this API reference variable com/readdoc HTML. I've been spoken about this on previous calls. It was like /readdoc HTML, and basically that's we moved it to the slash and replaced the previous version of API reference with it. So it's much more big now. Long story short. For those who don't know about it, I think the biggest addition are, from the practical standpoint of view, is like ERC20 controllers. Those are that can tell you the balances of ERC20 tokens. You can use that in the project if you need, but in general, we use that to update orders. For example, if you placed an order, but you don't have money anymore, so you don't have WETH to contribute to the order anymore, it like the indexer listens to that and marks an order is inactive automatically. So also there is aggregation controller, order aggregation controller. It's a nice controller that you can use to build leaderboards. It allows you to build a leaderboard by top sellers, top buyers, top collections. So it's really useful for somebody who wants to build a leaderboard on their NFT project. And this new, yeah, it also has lock controller. It's lock controller. It's for unlockable items. It's part of the protocol as well. So I don't think it was mentioned before. And now this new NFT order item controller. And basically what that is.
Alex, could you describe the lock controller a bit before moving on? I'm not familiar with it.
Yep. It's basically the API behind unlockable NFTs. When you create an NFT, if you're an owner of that NFT, you can add an unlockable content to it. It's a content that will be only shown to the new owner. And basically there are like two functions to create this unlockable content: create lock and get lock content. And in order to get lock content, you need to provide a signature of yourself as the owner from the wallet that is an owner of the item, and the backend checks if that wallet is indeed an owner of the item, and if it is, then it just shows the like unlockable part to it.
So when you say backend, you mean like Rarible backend?
Yep.
Okay. So how does you said that it's built into the protocol. So how does the protocol work with the Rarible backend? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So this part, I think it's not distributed. So if you run your own like version of the protocol on your node, then you would have this like empty lock controller. Basically, the Rarible backend is the only place where they are stored now.
Mm.
The unlockable part. It actually is very hard problem. I don't think there is any solution, existing solution for like distributed unlockable content.
Yeah, I was kind of curious because normally like you have to put it on IPFS and it's public by default. So
Yeah,
I was,
yeah.
yeah.
I think new Cipher can be the solution there. They have proxy re-encryption service. I don't exactly know how that works, but they have some nodes that act as re-encryptors. So you can encrypt the content for the person who is the owner, but when the NFT changes hands, you need the new owner to re-encrypt for the new owner, basically with his public key. Uh, and that means that somebody needs to know this content to be able to re-encrypt that with the new key. And new Cipher has some distributed network of re-encryptors. Each of them re-encrypts only part of the content. Some voodoo magic is going there. You can take a look there. If I think
We're,
Jonathan, that might.
yeah, we're actually working on a much simpler decentralized solution for serving token locked content. If this is something that's of interest, we still have it, you know, active development, but please feel free to reach out to us if you're interested in having some sort of decentralized unlockable content based on token ownership with Wearable.
How would that work? Just
That's a whole other conversation.
okay.
But feel free to set up a meeting with me if you want to get into the details.
Okay, great. So let me continue then. This NFT order item controller, it's basically the controller that aggregates data from every microservice that we have, and it stitches the data about ownership, about creators, about metadata, and it adds the best sell order and the best bid order to them. Let me probably share a screen. Can I share the screen, Eric?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's a large like structure. You have the item ID, contract, all things like that. You have a metadata. A lot of people asked for the metadata in the same response to not go for the second query to get only metadata. And it's an optional parameter. You can either include meta or not. As far as I remember, if you pass false here, it would just be a null of a field, just to make the response smaller. And it also adds the best sell order and the best buy order. So if that's basically, if you want to build a feed of items that are on sale or not, you can do that from one response. Like show me all the items of that person. Like for example, when you go on Wearable for the specific author, you see all his items and you see the little like price starts from like $10 on that particular item. So that's exactly how it's built. It's this order, the best order with the best price for that item gets automatically like stitched to every item from that request. And the best bid, we don't use it at Wearable, but again, it's just the tip of the order book to show on the card. So basically with that route, you have all the information to show really a rich card, preview card for the NFT. the metadata and orders, all that together just from one request. Yep, that's this new controller. Also, we started and almost ready to release. It's in the final stages of testing the aggregating activity, not only from Rarible now, but from just overall Ethereum space. So more data streams. You'll see items that got sold on OpenSea in your activity stream. And that also is added to the aggregation functions. So you can now build leaderboards for top buyers, top sellers, and top collections, not only by Rarible data, but for the broader data in the ecosystem. And the end goal is to integrate like more data streams for orders as well. So that makes the protocol basically like super liquid. You'll have a lot of orders in it, not only Rarible orders, but other orders that you can accept them. And that means that if you're building a wallet, for example, you can put for sale like all the items that are, well, much more rich storefronts with a lot of sales data. I also mentioned that the previous week we've updated smart contracts. It also supports the Trezor and Ledger signatures. They were broken for a while before because we moved to EIP 7.12. It's this like signed typed data. It doesn't work with hardware wallets, so we created the fallback for the old signature for them. Also, we fixed royalties on the first sale. And one important update would be that with this NFT order controller, we actually plan to replace just the simple item controller, NFT controller, with this NFT order controller. So you'll get this best order in every response, basically, in some point in the future. So that wouldn't affect, and the NFT controller like would be removed. That wouldn't affect anyone who uses flexible JSON parsing as for like just JavaScript JSON. But if you use any typed JSON parsing, for example, like let's parse it all, there would be just several additional fields. So if your JSON parser would make an exception after receiving a new additional field, then probably you want to prepare to this change in the protocol. Any of the guys here on the call using this? Okay. I feel like I almost got you bored.
Maybe we can, if that's all for updates, we can move into questions.
That's all for updates, yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So I heard that the collection API is coming, like creating, like deploying a new collection, right?
Yeah, it's not exactly an API. It would be just the smart contract factory. And
so how would it work from like a user point of view?
Well, from the user point of view, you go to Rarible.com, you click create a new collection, the same thing it is now, and it deploys you a new collection, but you pay $100 instead of $500 because it would use a proxy beacon contract. If you don't have a UI for this, you can go to Etherscan and you can call a smart contract method, just deploy collection or something like that, pass parameters of a new collection, and the transaction action would inside it deploy a new contract and from your on your behalf.
Oh,
Does
so
it
it's
make sense?
basically just deploying a contract.
Yeah, it's basically just the function on the contract that deploys a new contract and
Is there
as-
is there is there a way to like programmatically do it?
well, the same way as calling any arbitrary smart contract programmatically. You can do that like by calling Web3.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my question is like, is this also open source?
It is open source by default because it's smart contract.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, is there like a GitHub where we can take a look?
That might be in the main repo, GitHub protocol contracts. Let me just check the commits there. Factory. Yep, it's Rarible. It's github.com/rarible.com/protocol-contracts. There is a pull request. No, there is no pull request, but there is this do token factory commit that I see. Let me check what is the file there. Token. I can't find the exact file, but
Is that link I shared? Is that the repo?
yes, that's the repo.
Okay.
So I can find the dimension of the token factor in the commit messages, but I can't find the exact file. Let me ask the team. That's probably, yeah, there is the, yep, there is a factory inside tokens link. Let me share the link in the Zoom. Yep, that's the link.
Okay. Thank you.
I guess I'm just wondering in terms of our documentation for stuff like that, like how are we imagining this would be easier to find? Like, should it be in the documentation, like under, a heading, like, or I don't really know, Angus and Jonathan aren't here who are going to be working on. But is it just like a matter of sorting it on the documentation side and pointing to the right folders and stuff?
I think it'll be really great if there's like because like deploying, I don't think deployment itself is like very difficult. You just don't know how to do it. So if there's like a short explanation on like what commands to execute, like 1, 2, 3, and then it just deploys, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, I think ideal is just to create. There is so many things like that one about specific like use case of the protocol, about external royalties, about this factory. So each time we stumble upon something like that, it would be so cool just to go to docs.rarible.com, create a new page, say token factory, and here's how to use it. here's the link
Yeah,
to your
and-
source code.
And from my experience, like this like custom collection is the most frequently, like a lot of people want to use this feature.
Everyone.
Yeah, so like this would be like one of the most important part.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
that
and
would
and speaking of collection, I was just like, this is just out of curiosity, but does allowing people to do their own collections benefit Wearable somehow?
well, making people happy benefits Wearable.
No, I mean like financially, like does it help? Like it doesn't, for example, like Wearable, the Rari token appreciates theoretically because the investors theoretically might get like a dividends or something from the transaction fees that accumulated to the all the sales or something like that. But like if everybody just custom.
Theoretically, all these collections are inheriting the like the mother collection that is a contract, and it is upgradable contract. So with the Rarible like governance decision, at some point in future, this collection can be upgraded. Well, the main reason for that is to add new features like lazy minting and things like that to the user's collections. But also it can be upgraded to, I don't know, to include some financial benefit. I can't imagine how can that work there specifically. I don't know. You need to pay every time to transact an NFT, or
Yeah.
But
So
also,
from
the sales also use our exchange though, right? So I mean, there's fees there.
yeah, sales use exchange, and under hood exchange there is a transfer. So exchange just transfers these collections.
But if
From
people create their own collections, like won't they, like can't they just like oh, so like what, even when they create their own collection, they do use Raribles, like they share the liquidity, right? Okay.
well, I don't really get what that means. Share the liquidity.
So like whenever, so let's say I create a new collection, like I was asking like, does that actually benefit Wearable? But it sounds like even if I have a custom collection, I still have to go through the exchange contract from which the transaction fee is generated. So that does benefit Wearable, right?
Well, you don't have to. You can just create a collection. You can create tokens inside that collection and just don't trade them at all.
If you want to sell them though, yeah, it would use them.
If you want to sell them, yeah, you go to the same contract, and Rarible contract allows you to trade any NFTs from every collection.
Okay. So I think at the end of the day, it does benefit Wearable.
Well, I don't know. Rarible doesn't really care about what that item is, so it benefits Rarible from only from the standpoint that users want that. From the trading perspective, all the NFTs are absolutely equal and same. I see an interesting question in the chat. Is Rarible working on the EAP 1559 update?
Is that the royalties? ERP?
As far as I remember, that's like the fee burning
Yeah.
EAP.
Oh,
That,
right.
Do we need to update something to include that EAP? Shouldn't that's beyond my knowledge specifically. So can you please link something? I'll ask the team.
Yeah, I'm not familiar that any contracts need a change due to EIP 1559.
Mm,
Oh, prep kit. All right.
Maybe it has something to do with estimating costs for meta transactions.
Thanks for that. Go ahead.
thank you. I'm pretty sure engineering team tracked this, but thanks a lot. I'll make sure to get to them. And which part of this document exactly tells us how to update the contract?
Yes,
That
so-
I'm not sure on just yet. It's just, it kind of came my way through Chainlink, so I was reading through it.
Okay, yeah, let me just drop that to our team.
It looks like that it's still backwards compatible for any legacy transactions that don't, optimize for 1559. It just isn't going to be able to benefit from like the gas efficiency for transactions that users might start on any application that isn't like optimized with it. So everything should still function even if this isn't integrated on day one.
I think yeah. Okay, we'll check with the team. I do remember we discussing something like that, but thanks a lot for that.
Any other questions for anyone?
I wanted to just clarify, make sure that I understand the last update that you mentioned, Alex, with you said that the NFT order item controller APIs would replace the NFT item controller.
Yep.
Okay. So then the NFT order item controller would also have APIs that can like be used for lazy mints that aren't, don't have orders created associated with them.
Yes, exactly. So they just stitch the order if it exists. If there is a best order for that item, it adds it to the additional field.
Okay.
If
And
there's
then
no
the
order.
oh, sorry. And the response you said will be changing as this transition occurs. So we don't want to be like TypeScript would be an issue if we were to continue pulling from these APIs with that as opposed to JavaScript.
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly sure about the TypeScript per se, what it does when it tries to. So basically, your JSON parser would expect a specific set of fields, and response would be this set of fields plus a couple new fields. I'm not particularly sure about every implementation of type data and parsing and things like that, but you probably want to make sure that if there is any new field, it won't break your implementation.
I think it should be fine with the code that we have in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have something that's less of a question, but I guess just a future thought that I'd like to work towards, that as we work on providing a decentralized solution for serving generalized CDN content if a user holds a token, I would, as this kind of matures and incubates, I'd like to see if there's a way of maybe us maybe exploring making that also open source and maybe even integrating that into the Rarible protocol itself as a way of serving protected content. Yeah, if this is something that whenever there's a good time, there's no rush on it, but I'd love to meet with you, Alex, to discuss this further.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I think that would open up the great question, like how do we add things to the protocol? How to contribute. Ideally, we are writing the guidelines, how to contribute, what do you need to do to add something to the protocol, but that would be really cool.
Wonderful. Let's say in another like 2 weeks or something, let's revisit this, then be a better time for us to talk more about immediate next steps.
Yeah, for us.
We
as well.
could, you know, we could move towards using something like Radical to manage like the protocol Git repository and then like approve PRs with like the DAO approval. I mean, DX DAO is going in that direction. It'd be super cool if we kind of like led the charge there. I really think it's like a really cool direction. But maybe that's like a little bit down the line.
I'm just looking at it right now.
Radical?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Alex, so yesterday on the community call, we had like a section in the call where we just took time and like brainstormed ideas or cool things that we've been thinking of. One of the things that I brought up that I discussed in the Discord, I think turns out we might need to make changes on the protocol, but I think it'd be a pretty cool feature. The idea is to be able to lazy mint an item specifically to someone's wallet so that only they can claim it. It's like, because right now if you lazy mint items, anybody can go and like buy it on the order book. But it'd be cool to like somehow have an address associated with the lazy minted item, and then only then they can buy it or they can claim it, for example, if it's free. And it probably needs some changes on the protocol, but I thought it'd be a really cool way to onboard new users, like for gifting community members and stuff like that, because then it makes distribution like super easy.
Even better if there was
Actually-
a way for us to query if that user has been assigned this ability to lazy mint a token, so we can allow that user to gain access to content even before they've minted the token.
I missed the last part.
If there was some way, like essentially, like high level, it'd be neat if a creator could give someone the ability to mint a token freely on the protocol. They just have to pay, that user just has to pay the gas. And there was some way on the API for us to allow that user, or to check to see if that user has been given this pseudo token. And so we could allow that user to like watch a video or date content before the user has even minted that gifted token. And whenever that user is ready to mint that token, they can then mint that token on chain, and we do all that tracking so that that user can then still access the content once they've minted the token on chain.
I actually think that it's already possible with the protocol. So the lazy mint token is basically an order, and the order you can. I just chatted with Evgeny about this, and he said that there is a possibility to limit the person who can like accept the order. You can't set a set of addresses, but you can set only one address. And I'm assuming it is if you just pass the taker address in your order. If you create a make order and you pass the taker address, only that taker address would be able to like use that token, use that order.
Oh, interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I think we never actually mentioned something like that.
Yeah, I think it'd be super good for like community engagement. Even like, if you think of like a basketball club and they want to mint NFTs to all their fans, you don't want to make those lazy minted NFTs like something anyone can claim. You want to just mint it to those addresses. So I think it'd be super useful to think about how we can make that like easy for projects to just mint to addresses. But
You
that
can
sounds
also,
cool.
yeah. Well, you can specify the taker, and that would be the only user who would be able to, that's my assumption. So Evgeny said that there is a possibility to do that. So there might be any other way, but just while I was thinking about it, it makes sense. I don't think there is any other place that you can do that. But I might be wrong, but 80% sure.
Very cool.
Good to know.
One thing, I don't know if this is my place to say this, but like one concern I have is like we were just discussing about changing the protocol and like for the better, but I think like from my point of view, I think Wearable protocol is like already like near perfect, and any protocol improvement that would be made to the protocol would be not for like a to add some feature, but it would be something that makes it like really flexible so that like other contracts can plug into the Rarible protocol somehow, because and like Eric mentioned like the radical and stuff like that. I'm kind of like cautious about it because the radical itself is an experiment, and they have this like a consensus mechanism where who can pull, like send a pull request and who can make the decision on like what's the truth and stuff like that. That could like really mess up the whole protocol if radical protocol like messes up. So yeah, like it's just my opinion, just my thought, but I think that it's best if Rarible protocol itself is kept as stable as possible for like at least until certain point where it gets a lot of network effect, because otherwise if it keeps changing, like people who are building on top of it, they just have to keep like it's kind of dangerous.
Well, so the idea is to make it always backward compatible. If you're launching something new, there is this v0.1 inside the protocol URL, right? So you want everybody who built on protocol to not change anything if you launch a new feature for the protocol. That's something we have in mind when designing that.
But also on the radical front, yeah, I mean, we would definitely have to have that discussion in the forum, and maybe it's a bad idea, but yeah, we're definitely not going to rush with anything like that.
I'm just happy with the open source.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, if yeah, exactly. If no one else has anything, we'll just wrap up and start enjoying our weekend. For those who it's late, and enjoying our Friday for the others.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you guys for participating.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Take care.